What's going on, Junkie Nation? Gorgeous George and Goes are back with another MMA superstar. He's back. It's Joe Lauzon, who's going to be fighting Donald Cerrone on June 18th in Austin, Texas, I believe. Right, Joe?
Yep. Hopefully it happens this time.
Yeah.
That would be nice, right? Nice change of pace.
So they're basically preserving the fight that was supposed to take place a few weeks ago. And welcome back, Joe. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me back.
It started on April 30th at the Apex with no fans. Then it got moved to May 5th, I believe, in an actual arena with a ton of fans as part of a pay-per-view. And now you're going to go down to a fight night, and that's fine. You'll still have your fans. But holy cow, what a process. They must really, really like the Lauzon-Cerrone matchup. Is that also come from you as well? Like, you really wanted that, or were you ever close to just drifting off and taking someone else on?
For a little bit, I didn't know if I wanted to do the fight after, like, when he got sick, because now I'm like, all right, now we're gonna do it 6 weeks later. Is it gonna happen this time? Is like, you're so mentally prepared, like you do strength and conditioning and things like that, and like you're focused on the date. Like, it sucks so bad, like doing that workout and like, oh, May 7th, and then you get to be May 7th, literally an hour before you're supposed to go to the arena, fight's off. It's like it like completely took the wind out of my sails. Like, I was like sick to my stomach, didn't know if I wanted to even do it again. Didn't know if I wanted to fight again. Didn't know if I wanted to do any of it. Like, just like, it was like so like soul crushing.
Well, apparently he was sick to his stomach too, right? That's what we're hearing.
So yeah, so they're saying he was sick. He was throwing up. He was super tired, super worn out. I mean, I don't know if he had something bad. He could have eaten something bad. It could have been just eat a little too much, too fast. Just something didn't agree with the stomach. Couldn't fight. You cut weight. You need to put the food back in, you need to put the water back in. If you can't, you can't fight. So I understand. Like, I'm sure if it was within his ability to fight, he would have.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen. So then it's like, oh, do I want to go and do this again 6 weeks later? Is it actually going to happen this time? We had a long camp to start with because I hadn't fought in a while. So we had like a 20-week camp going into it. And like, oh, let's just do another 6 weeks. No big deal. We do a 6-month camp. Who cares?
And does that mean you had to kind of start over? Like, did you become Fat Joe again?
No.
Or did you make sure you just kept the weight off and extended the camp? Did you even get to decompress for like a weekend? How do you treat your body so that it responds its best 6 weeks later after everything you put it through?
We went to Galaxy's Edge, which is like Star Wars land in Florida, like the following weekend for my buddy's bachelor party. So we did that for a couple of days. And I don't drink anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I ate a bunch of like crappy, good, delicious, but unhealthy food. Part of the problem was my weight was so low. I think I was like walking at like 166 a couple of days after the fight didn't happen. So now it's like, okay, I don't want to be walking at 166 for the next 6 weeks. I want to get heavier. So I had to really go out of my way to kind of try to get a little heavier, get back up to like 170 or so. And then now I'm back to like 68. So I'll have an easy weight cut. But I definitely didn't not want to be at 66 for such a long time.
We spoke when the fight was first made, and we talked about how a Lauzon fight is more than just a typical fight. I mean, I'm sure other fighters kind of commute with a large contingency of fans and friends and family and everything. But you definitely do. And so I wanted to ask you, are a lot of them because it was day of, so it's not like it happened on a Tuesday or nothing like that. They were all there. Are a lot of them going to be joining you in Austin? And, is that too much, or how will that work?
I think I'm going to have way more people in Austin than I would have had in Phoenix, because just like the Phoenix one, just like the way the timing worked out, there were a lot of people that really wanted to go, but they had stuff going on. I had buddies that were like, they're going to like the Caribbean, and they're trying to like change their flight. So they go from the Caribbean to fly right to Phoenix and things like that. Like, but we have a bunch of people that are going to come to Austin now for the fight. A couple people that went to Phoenix that can't come to Austin, but a ton of people that could not do Phoenix that are doing Austin. So it'll be fun. It'll be good. I have a lot of people that come out for my fights. Like, I have obviously I have a ton of members at my gym, but also just a ton of friends, a ton of people that have just been to so many of my fights. It's like, maybe it's the last one. I got to go to this one. I got to go to this one. Like, it's whatever I have left for fights, I'm sure they'll be at every single one. So
I always want to ask you that too, without making it sound like we just keep grinding you on, will this be your last fight? But you kind of answered it. Do a lot of them maybe go because it could be? Because again, It's always been such an experience for everyone. So I wonder if that's why they do it. Like, they just don't want to miss out,
Yeah, I mean, 100%. You know, it could be the last one. Like, I'm not saying that to like, trying to like tease people. Like, it could be the last one. I have no idea. You know, this is now like almost like a second camp. You know, it's like we just did the entire Cowboy camp for Phoenix, and now we're doing like a shortened like 6-week camp for Austin, Texas. You know, so it's this is kind of like a whole second fight. It feels like it's been a whole second camp. It's just been like a lot of wear and tear, a lot of very grinding process.
What is it with you chowderheads up in Boston, man? Tom Brady can't decide.
I know.
You can't decide. You just have to
I've never. What's worse, and I think, was when people say, "Oh, I'm done," and then they come back. Like that's what Tom Brady did. He said he was retiring, and then he's coming back. I've always been of the mindset like I'm not going to say I'm retiring before a fight happens. I'm always going to say I'm going to make a choice as we go. Like I don't have to fight. I'm fighting because I want to fight. Like I think it'll be a great fight. I think I'll do really well. I think it'll be a good fight against Cowboy. That's why I'm going to do this fight. If I did not think it was going to go well, I wouldn't have done the fight. This was like the easiest get out of jail free card for me ever, right? If I didn't like the fight, he pulls out of the fight. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I don't have to do this fight. I don't have to commit to anything. I'm good. But I like the fight. I really, really like the fight.
Now, on the flip side, who was a Boston guy who kept his word? He's actually from where you were born. I think you were actually from Brockton originally, right?
Yep.
Well, Marvin Hagler, when he stepped away, that was it.
That was it. He's done.
That was it. Yeah.
Yep.
And but I feel bad because fighters, I think, know when they're done, but you just never know nowadays with the way the world turns. If $1 million opportunity to fight at the top of a skyscraper in Dubai comes along, against some tomato can, who's going to pass that one up? You know what I mean? So it's like, then they have to say, well, 99.9% and all that. But yeah, I think it's just, I wouldn't hang yourself too much up on that. So many people respect you and Cowboy and what you've done. When you're ready, you're ready. But if you have to come back because there's an opportunity, we trust that it was in the best interest. Like it doesn't strike us like, oh man, he must have gotten a gambling debt or nothing like that,
Yeah, no, I mean, you'd be pasta debt. You're buying too much ice cream and too much pasta.
Well, I joked earlier, but what's really the heaviest you've ever gotten? You're in no way Fat Joe, that's for sure.
So I got up to like 182 was the heaviest ever, and that was like probably like that was maybe like last year, like last summer. And like I was training, I just but I was more focused on like the gym, like trying to get the gym kind of organized. Like we moved our gym a couple towns over, so we got like a bigger spot, better place. Everything was good. So like I was spending so much time kind of like running it and doing that kind of part of it and less actual training. And training was just weird because COVID was still going on like pretty strong. So it was like wasn't trying to train with as many people. So I was trying to like limit it a little bit. So there's like, but I was like 182 was like the heaviest I've been in my entire life.
So COVID and switching gyms, did that kill the vibe? Wasn't Lauzon's the spot on Saturdays or something like that where everyone?
It killed our steam. It didn't kill our steam, but like Rafont and Calvin Cater don't come down. They've not come down since all the COVID stuff happened, the pandemic stuff. They just they continued training. Like we couldn't train in my gym, right? But the short version is basically Calvin had a fight coming up, and Calvin had like Calvin runs a promotion combat zone, which is so he had his own cage. He got some mats. He basically had like access to like some like garage space that wasn't being used. So they kind of just started doing their own thing. Like a small group of, it was like Rob and Calvin and Tyson and a couple other guys. And they just kind of did their own thing. And now they don't mix with everyone else a whole lot otherwise. So I haven't seen them too much. But it used to be like, we were like the number one spot in New England. Now it's like they're broken off a little bit. But there's still a ton of people that come to us. So it's still fine.
So it's like the Sinaloa cartel and the Nueva they kind of splintered. Mexico, that kind of
little break off. We still like I work with Jake Benini, who's Calvin and Rob's kickboxing coach, Muay Thai coach. Crew Jake, he hates being called Crew Jake, so I call him Crew Jake every opportunity. So it's broken off a little bit, but it's still good. Like I still see Rob at Skill Strength, we lift and all that kind of stuff.
Right. All right, I'll turn it over to Goes in just a second, but because I get in this rhythm with you, man. That's why we love having you on the show.
All the time you want. I got you.
So another thing I noticed was your kids are now old enough to enjoy the fights. How much of any of this is for them? We've heard a lot of fighters say, I wanted them to, enjoy it for the first time in the arena. Sometimes it's the mom, sometimes it's the kids, not just because they haven't been there before. They may be being held up because they're a little toddler, but now they can understand, So I know one of them is probably about 7 or 8. The other one's about 4. So
yeah. So Jake is 4, and then Joey's 8. So Joey kind of understands a little bit, but not really. Like he doesn't really, like he kind of gets it, but not exactly. Like he knows, like he they both do jiu-jitsu at my gym. So they're both doing jiu-jitsu for a while now. They both like jiu-jitsu. They both know that I'm really good at jiu-jitsu. They both know that, like I fight on TV. Joey is coming to a couple of UFCs. So they kind of understand it, but I don't think they really quite understand exactly what's going on.
Hey, Joe, I'm going to try and explain something to you.
Okay.
Let's see if we can be on the same
Okay.
wavelength.
Yep.
I think one of the reasons we always ask you when you feel like your last fight is going to be.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite show that you watch, like on Netflix or something like that?
I watch a ton of TV shows.
Okay. The other day, George was watching a show.
Okay.
And let's just say season 1, 2, and 3 are traditionally 10 episodes.
Yep.
But all of a sudden, it just had a season finale where it ended at episode 8. And he wasn't prepared for it. And I went through the same thing a week later. I was laughing when he told me. When you don't know something's coming to an end, like you want to kind of have like your favorite food, your beer, you really want to get into it. And I just feel like we all just want to know, we want to have our beer, our favorite food for the last Joe Lauzon fight. So I guess what I'm going to ask you is, are you really the only guy that will ever know that? Like even wife, coach, will it really just be your moment and you're going to let them know when, or will you let it slip out to anybody?
No, I mean, I've had this conversation with my wife a lot, about how many more fights, things like that, like my gym does great now, right? I'm doing really, really well with my gym. Like I don't need to fight. Like, so it's not a money thing anymore. So I don't need to do that. What I don't want is, I personally don't want to put my wife through another, me getting my butt kicked or getting knocked out or something like that. Right. Like, if it happened one more time, then that is definitely the end of it. Like if I go out and I fight Cowboy and he kicks me in the face, you don't have to hear from me. I'm telling you right now that will be the last fight. If I go out there and have like an even fight with Cowboy and like I don't get beat up, then maybe we'll fight again. If I go out there and I blow him out of the water, maybe we'll fight again. But the next time you see like a bad fight out of me, that's definitely the last time. You don't have to hear from me that it's the last time, but you just know that that's the last one. And that's just like, it's not like it's not a rule book, but it's kind of like, it's just kind of, that's just how it's going to be. So that's the decision tree. Joe gets beat up. It's bad. Done. You know what I mean? Joe maybe loses, but it's not a terrible fight. It's an even fight, whatever. It's like that. Maybe we do it again. Joe does really, really well. That's still just only a maybe. It's not a definitely going to do it again. But I just, but we've talked about it. I think for me, myself, I don't think I exactly know. Like, it's not like, oh, I just have this, like this number in my head. It's just, I don't know. We'll just see.
How do you keep yourself from over-analyzing this fight? Because you've had a long time to prepare for this guy. And now in between here, this time period, I'm sure you were prepared the day of until what happened. But do you even go back and watch more videos or anything that you've picked up that you said, man, I didn't even see this the first time I prepared this guy? How do you keep yourself from over-analyzing everything?
No, I mean, we basically come up with a game plan early on and then we stick to it. For better or worse, you need so much time to kind of, to get everything dialed in and kind of prepare. Like I can't decide like the day of the fight, oh, we're gonna do something different, so I'm gonna work with my wrestling coach on something different. It's like, no, you need to put a lot of time and a lot of reps in whatever you're gonna do. So there were a couple like little wrinkles we've added now in the last couple weeks, because there were things that like we kind of wish we had incorporated a little bit sooner for the first fight, but it was too close. It's like, okay, well, we're 2 weeks out. We can't go and add this extra thing now. So we're not gonna worry about it. We're just gonna, that option is off the table. But then we had another 6 weeks. Like, oh, well, I guess we could kind of add in this little thing. But we're definitely not like, death by analyzation or anything like that. It's just like, oh no, just kind of, it's like an ever like evolving kind of like living thing of like, okay, this is our game plan. This is what we're going to try and do. This is how we're going to try and execute. These are the triggers. These are things that we need to be concerned with. These are things that he does really, really well. Like, it's like this like living game plan that's going to, change as time goes on, but we can't drastically change it, in the 11th hour.
Did you ever get a chance to talk to Donald or anybody in his camp?
I've talked to him a bunch. Like I saw him a couple times on Fight Week. Like I saw him Wednesday, I saw him Thursday, I saw him Friday, I saw him Saturday. Like I saw him. I didn't see him Saturday. I saw him like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I talked a little bit after the fight happened. The fight didn't happen. you know, like he sent me, you know, we were texting back and forth a little bit. He was telling me how sorry he was. And then he called me like maybe like Wednesday, I want to say, after, or Tuesday. And he was like, hey, he's like, he had a bunch of stuff that was going on. You know, he was supposed to be doing a movie somewhere like Thailand or something like that from like it was like May 27th to like June 20th or something like that. So he's like, hey, if you can do June 18th, he's like, I owe you the fight. I will pull out of this movie and we can fight on June 18th. He's like, I don't want to pull out of it if you can't do that date, you know, but if you say you can do that date, then I'll pull out of this movie and we'll do the fight. So that was kind of what happened, you know, but it was like a short conversation, you know, it wasn't crazy. It was just like, like, bro, I'm so sorry. This sucks. I promise you I was sick. I promise, you know, whatever. And I believed them all. Like I definitely, I have no reason not to believe them. You know, but that was pretty much it. You know, we talked about it, and I'll see him again on fight week and be all, you know, shaking hands, hugging, whatever. And then we'll murder each other come Saturday night.
Joe, when you first started doing this sport, there were a lot of people that thought you guys were crazy, just absolutely crazy. What are they thinking? And then as time has progressed, there have been wrinkles to the fight game, stuff like bare knuckle, where now I've seen fighters that have gone through what you went through, even them kind of going, these guys are crazy. What do you think about stuff like that, like bare knuckle and life beyond, say, the UFC?
I definitely look at the bare knuckle guys the way the boxers looked at us, for sure. Right. I'm like, we went to smaller gloves, not because we were trying to like increase like the damage or whatever, but because we were trying to be able to grapple. You know, we needed gloves that we could grapple and wrestle with and stuff like that. Bare knuckle boxing though is like, they're literally making smaller gloves so they can say it's bare knuckle. Like that's really it. I mean, they could be having, you know, the same exact rule set with MMA gloves. It would be the exact same, but they're literally just doing it to try to like make it a little edgier. So it definitely seems a little crazier to me, but I'm sure boxers felt the same exact thing about us. Like, oh, you can knee someone in the head, or you're going to tackle them, or you choke people. You're going to choke people. So it's like, I get it. But I definitely look at the bare knuckle boxers as being a little bit crazier than we are, for sure.
You know, we talked a little bit about before the interview even started, and we were talking about the 5-on-5, 7-on-7.
Yep.
And you said that actually kind of interests you. If you were to do it, who would you roll with? Like people that are relatively your size, who would you want on your team?
We get a kid, Tyler, at my gym that's phenomenal, like phenomenal grappler. Like I've submitted him a couple times in like the last year, and he submitted me like he taps me like a drum. Like he's so good. He's my size. I would want Tyler on my team. And he's not good at MMA, but he's got phenomenal jiu-jitsu. So I take him. I get my brother for sure. Who's a little bit bigger right now. But we get him on a diet. We get him down. I mean, there's so many good guys that are trained with us over the years that I think would, you know, like maybe not the best in the one-on-one, but like they've been in a couple of street fights or they've been in fights outside that you'd want them on your team. It would be fun though. I think it'd be interesting. I think it's just, you know, there's a whole like extra layer to strategy that goes on there, right? You know, for like, I'm fighting Cowboy. I'm like, okay, he's good at this. He's good at this. He's good at this. I'm good at this. We can try to exploit this and blah, blah, blah. But now it's okay. It's like 5-on-5. It's like, okay, so their best guy is this guy. Okay, so our two guys are going to get that guy. And then our other guy is going to kind of, you know, try to fight two other guys and try to get, you know, drag them out. It's like, there's a lot more strategy that I think makes it very, very interesting. I think it would be fun. I
like how he said in a couple street fights. Danny alone's probably been in a couple hundred.
He's been, yeah, he and I are very different, but I want him on my team for sure.
I must have missed this when I was taking the dump. Restarting the computer. Was this 5-on-5 MMA on the street, or was this jiu-jitsu? What was this that you and Ghost?
I think it's basically MMA, right? I think it's in Russia. I don't even know, but I've seen the videos on like Reddit and things like that. Literally, like just 5 guys start and they run at each other, and there's all kinds of like pylons.
So it's 5 lightweights against 5 lightweights, or is it open weight?
I think it's just I don't know if it's like a team weight. I don't even know. I got
to push you, Joe. 5-on-5, you only came up with you, your brother, and your teammate. Come on, throw 2 more 55ers out there. 2 guys that you think would be badass. You know that make us go, ooh, yeah, good point.
I take Joe Proctor, who used to train with us.
Stop with the teammates. Come on.
So who am I picking from?
Because a lot of the audience doesn't know Proctor. I think he already retired, right? I'm not sure.
So you're saying just five just
just the random UFC lightweights or whatever.
I got you. Okay. Fuck. I mean, you go with some of the best guys going right now. Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira.
Okay.
Those are your 4. I guess those
I like
are 4.
See, I like Danny because he's street savvy.
Yeah.
So he knows pin your back against a cage. Don't get him from the back. No disrespect to the Tyler kid. He might have good jiu-jitsu, but usually don't want to wind up on the ground in a street fight when it's multiples. If it's one-on-one, like in a pit.
Tyler's a monster. Tyler's a monster. I think I might take Tyler over even the 4 guys I just listed from the UFC.
Really?
Dude, he's really good. Yeah.
And is he going to do MMA or is he doing it?
Thinking about it, dipping his toes in. He's been doing jiu-jitsu since he was like 6. He's like 21 now. He's like 15 years of jiu-jitsu. So strong. Starting to do some boxing, kickboxing. So we'll see. He trains at Midwest a little bit, but
what you're trying to convince him to do MMA?
Not trying to convince him, but I think he wants to do it though.
Is he kind of like what you're almost describing is almost like a Hamzat Chimaev, like this guy's a monster. He'll just take you to the ground and maul you. Is it something like that?
Yeah, similar.
Oh wow.
Similar. Yep, he's good. And didn't know a ton of MMA, but he's been training MMA with us for like a year and a half now. He's getting really, really good.
Chandler, Oliveira. Those are some good ones. Okay, yeah, they throw Daichi for sure. Yeah. What about if it was open weight? So now you could take some heavyweights and light heavyweights with you.
Do we have like a team cap, or can I pick all heavyweights?
You're the captain, so you can go with heavyweights, light heavyweights, middleweights, whoever you want.
I don't know. Probably heavyweights. I don't know. I mean, I think it really comes down to it's almost like a speed thing. It's a numbers thing, right? It's like whoever can get, make it from 5-on-5 to 5-on-4 or 5-on-3 the fastest. I don't know. There's too many. I'd have to think about it more.
I would say Ngannou's low hanging fruit. That's an easy one, right? He's smashing.
Yep.
And Bam Tuivasa, maybe?
Mm-hmm. Maybe Whitaker.
Robert Whitaker would be a nice one.
Stipe.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of good guys.
5-on-5, 7-on-7. That almost sounds like just watching hooligans outside of a stadium.
It's kind of fun though, right? It's like guys. I think they fight with MMA gloves. I think they don't. I've seen it with headgear. And I've seen it without headgear.
Oh wow.
I've seen it on an obstacle course, kind of.
Yeah. Yep. With like platforms and pylons. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Just a couple more here. So this is me being nosy. Hopefully you got win and show because you had already made weight. Yep. So I know that in the history of the sport, if it's during the fight week but you haven't made weight, they usually take care of the show. But hopefully you made weight, you already woke up and you're getting ready to go to the arena. That calls for a show as well. A win and show, right?
So if the fight didn't happen, I would have pressed very, very aggressively to get my win money, right? But like where they rescheduled the fight 6 weeks later, they gave me my show money. I got my Venom money. So I got that. And if they rescheduled for 6 weeks later, I was okay with it happening. Because like I started thinking about it. If he had pulled out on Tuesday, I get 0.
Yeah.
Right. So like, but I made weight. So it's like I got my show money and we're gonna get our show money and everything again. So I'm okay with it. Like if the fight didn't happen, I would have very aggressively pushed to get my win money. But if it's gonna happen, then I'm okay with just getting the show.
Okay. Well, I think you're a veteran who's put in his time, and I know it's too late now, but I if I'm the promoter, I would have given you the win too, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah. It's the way it goes. I understand. Like, it's just, Cowboy's never pulled out of a fight before, I don't think.
Yeah. I would have given Cowboy his show, believe it or not, because he's earned it too. I feel like you guys have earned your stripes. You punch the clock, whatever you want to say.
Yep.
And your reputation precedes itself. So nobody questions like, oh, he pussed out. He didn't walk.
Yeah,
he had anxiety or – no, hell no. Something serious must have happened, man. That's 2 tough hombres right there, You guys have almost 100 fights between the two of you.
A lot of fights, yeah. It's been a bunch.
Yeah. I also examined the card. Check this out, guys. So, because Joe's a bonus machine, right? So is Cowboy.
Yeah.
And ain't no way I don't think Chandler wasn't going to get a bonus, right? That was when he did to Tony Ferguson.
Yep.
The other bonus went to Fialho. Andre Fialho is his name. And he's the one that beat Cameron Van Camp. But, fight of the night was Brandon Royval versus Matt Schnell, which, by the way, I enjoyed that fight. It was only 1 round, if I'm not mistaken. They went back and forth. Schnell knocked him down, then Royval came back. But I'm wondering, man, there was a good chance Lauzon and Cowboy could have either gotten a submission, a KO. Joe's got 28 wins and 26 finishes, so I'm not stretching the truth here. Or maybe even a fight of the night, It's like that was one of those that was definitely up there for the grab.
Could have been. It could. I mean, it could have easily been a double bonus, right? We could have had fight of the night, and then I could have gotten like a spectacular finish, and could have easily been catch $100,000 in bonuses.
Yeah,
but it didn't happen, so we're not gonna worry about it. We're gonna focus on June 18th, and maybe we'll get. I don't want any more fight of the nights. We'll take the performance bonuses. We don't need the fight of the nights. We just keep all my blood inside. Not have to go to the ER would be nice.
Did you say your kids are going to go then? Both of them?
They're not. They're both staying home.
They're both staying home. But the oldest one kind of gets what's happening when daddy's winning, when daddy's losing, when daddy's in pain.
Joey understands a little bit. I think he kind of knows, doesn't know that I'm kind of a big deal, but kind of does. He's he's made comments about kids at school and things like that. I told him that you fight on television and whatever. So I think he's starting to understand, but I don't think he fully understands.
I want to flip a question on you now that we're all grown up. Years ago at the summer barbecues, you and your brother used to fight. You used to even joke that you would fight him in MMA. Yep. Now that you're a dad, if your two kids grew up, now one's 22, the other one's 18, 26 and 22, whatever, and they flip it on you, what would you tell them?
I'd put gloves on him and let him go at it.
Stop it, Joe. Really?
I think so. I mean, if they both train and they're both so me and Danny was I was the quiet, respectful one, and Danny was being the drunk asshole. So right. So that had to work its way out, right? You know what I mean? If my kids are both training, they're both into it, then I'm obviously you got to be, a certain degree of control there.
Oh, so you're talking about the summer barbecue. I'm talking about an MMA promotion, a fight.
Oh, to fight each other?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know that I even want them to fight. I'm not in the both. I definitely want both my kids to fight. I don't. I want them both to know jiu-jitsu. I think it's just good. Whether it's it's a good hobby, gives you something to focus on, keeps you in shape, make a lot of friends from it. There's a lot of good parts about jiu-jitsu. I don't care if they fight or not, but if they want to fight, then obviously I'll help them. But if they want to fight each other, I mean, go for it.
I thought if I asked Danny Lauzon this question, he'd be like, hell yeah. But if I asked Joe Lauzon this question, I'd go, hell no.
I mean,
that's right. It surprised me, but
to me, it's fighting is not I probably have a warped sense of it, but fighting is not it's not a fight necessarily. It's you're competing. It's oh, would you play your brother in tennis? Yeah, I play my brother in tennis. If it's just the rules of engagement are a little different, but it's still kind of the same thing. In my brain, it is. It's just we're competing.
We talked about your weight sometimes getting lower than it has, and then I went back and did a quick scan when Goes was asking his questions. Why did you never explore 145 even once, just to see like others? Pettis tried it, then he went back up. A few Gil Melendez. How about you?
You didn't go back deep enough. I did a couple fights at 145.
Did you really?
Before the UFC. Yep.
Oh, before the UFC. Okay.
Before the UFC. Yep. You didn't go back far enough. So I fought Rafael Assunção down in Florida.
Yeah.
I lost. I threw him around. I was way bigger than him, and then he broke my arm the second round. Or he broke my arm in the first round, but I wiggled out and didn't tap, and then come out the second round, he ended up Kimura me. But he messed me up. So I fought him at 45. I fought Ivan Menjivar at 145 before the UFC.
Okay.
Yeah. And I typically I think when it would go to 145, I struggle with guys being a little bit faster than me. Whereas when I fight at 55, usually I'm a little bit faster, and usually guys are not that much stronger than me. I'm not I think people are generally surprised with how strong I am. I don't look super strong, but functionally I'm pretty strong. So there's been, I think Manny Gimburin was the only guy I ever fought that I felt was stronger than me. And he went down and fought, I think 35 or something. But Manny was so strong. But otherwise I never really had a trouble with someone being too big for me. Manny
was in your season, right? If I recall.
Yep. So he knocked me. He's the one that beat me in the house. And then he went on to fight Nate, and his shoulder popped out.
Have you watched the 30th season of The Ultimate Fighter?
Is that the one that's going on right now?
Yeah.
I have not seen it. How is it? Has it been good?
I've watched 3 out of 5 episodes.
Yep.
I need to catch up. I'm kind of over it, honestly.
Yep.
But I decided to give the ladies a chance because Juliana has a good way of chirping a little bit. And I know that it's got to be eating at Amanda that she not necessarily lost, but she lost so dominantly. She got steamrolled. And so I thought maybe that might make it kind of fun and get me back into it. And I just haven't caught up, so I'm kind of into it a little bit. The fights have been decent, but I just feel like I don't know. There's too much MMA. Dana White Contender Series. I like to invest time into that.
It's hard. I mean, like your most
valuable. It was
like
what? 8 shows a year, and then the Ultimate Fighter. Hey, no problem. Now there's 40 shows a year, the Ultimate Fighter, and another 10 weeks of Dana White, plus Bellator, PFL. You see what I'm saying?
Your most valuable resource is your time, right? It's your most valuable resource. You have so much time. We all have the same amount of time in a day, in a week, whatever. It's hard. It's hard to justify, spending all of your time watching so many different shows. There's like literally you could have some kind of live MMA on like almost like around the clock every night.
Finish that off with you teased that you do watch a lot of TV. What are some favorite shows that you're watching? Maybe one that's out of the norm that you would recommend.
Out of the norm. It's kind of dorky, but I love Silicon Valley. It's over now. I watched Mythic Quest, which was great. They'll come back with another season, I think. I'm watching Obi-Wan Kenobi right now. The third episode dropped this morning, which was like unbelievable. Like the show's been good. First 2 episodes were good, but like the third episode was like unreal. Watch Stranger Things, like all the typical things I think everyone else watches, but nothing too crazy.
Do you watch Mayans, the motorcycle game?
I didn't watch Mayans. I watched Sons of Anarchy, but I never got into Mayans.
Okay. What about Ozark? I just finished that.
Yep, love Ozark. Loved Game of Thrones. They thought the last season was pretty bad, but love Game of Thrones. Like I said, Silicon Valley was really good. I liked Space Force.
You like British? You like the British accent shows from the other side of the pond?
Yeah. Yep.
I got one for you. Top Boy. Watch Top Boy.
Top Boy. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check that out. I watched Peaky Blinders. First couple seasons. I think.
Yeah. I need to get back into that one.
Okay, but Top Boy. Okay. I'll check that out.
Well, time is a resource, and you've given us over 30 minutes, and we always appreciate it.
Always good time.
Yeah, it's a great time talking to you, man. Seriously, thanks as always, and I hope you have a great camp yet again for Donald Cerrone. Can't wait to watch this fight. And I guess now we have a little bit of a barometer, how Joe performs might have something to do with what this could be. But obviously, at the end, it'll be your decision. But it's been an awesome career, man. 26 out of 28 fights, get finished by Joe, KOs or submissions. He's got a little bit of both, and that's awesome, man. That's why fans show up to the arena. We want some sort of a finality, not like all this bullshit going on with judges and criticism.
It's so hard. It's so hard with judges. I mean, that's one of the reasons I push so hard to finish fights, because you never know what a judge is going to say. You have guys that, sometimes the judge is qualified, sometimes judges know. It's like, how do you compare like a whole bunch of punches versus a whole bunch of submission attempts? It's like, it's really hard to compare the two. So you just never know what you're gonna get with a judge. Whereas if I go out and I either gas out or I submit someone, I know one way or the other. It has nothing to do with, someone else's input that had nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm. What's hard to believe is Rose and what the fuck? Oh, Carla had a 10-9 in round 1. And so did and then round 2 of Sterling and Yan was also a 10-9, which I think it was closer to a 10-8, and I think the other one was closer to a 10-10, but that just shows you the disparity in 10-9s.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
All coaches and fighters convincingly win the rounds. The onus is still on you, unfortunately. The judges ain't changing. The refs ain't changing. And everyone's going to keep on twitting. The only one that gets hurt is the fighter, man. That's why the onus is on the fighter, unfortunately.
Yep. I think that, there should be 10-10 rounds. I think there should be even rounds. If nothing happens, if there's like nothing substantial that happens, I think there should be a 10-10 round. That's one thing I think should be changed about scoring, is like, if you're not doing anything, it should be a 10-10. I would like to see that. I don't like the 10-point must sometimes, because they said like one person they just barely does, like lands like one extra punch, and that's a 10-9, or we have to completely change how we do it. And we need to make like 10-8s and 10-7s and 10-6s like way more common.
Yeah.
All
right, brother. Thanks again, man. Good luck on June 18th. As always, we'll be watching.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
Take care, Joe. See you.